The Brandon Swanson disappearance. I'm in a field. Then the call goes dead. May 14, 2008. A 19-year-old college student drives home after a party in rural Minnesota. He goes off the road into a ditch. Not hurt, he calls his parents for help. For 47 minutes, he stays on the phone with his father, trying to guide him to his location. Then Brandon says, "Oh shit." The line goes dead. He's never seen again. Despite massive searches involving hundreds of volunteers, search dogs, helicopters, and dive teams, not a single trace of Brandon Swanson has ever been found. Not his body, not his car keys, not his cell phone, nothing. Brandon Swanson was a 19-year-old freshman at Minnesota West Community and Technical College in Canby, Minnesota. He was a good student, responsible, close with his family. On May 13, 2008, he attended an end-of-year party with friends in Canby to celebrate finishing finals. Brandon had a few drinks but wasn't heavily intoxicated. Around midnight, he decided to drive home to Marshall, Minnesota, where his parents lived, about 30 miles away. He'd driven this route countless times. Rural Minnesota highways, mostly straight roads through farmland. Easy drive. But somewhere along the way, Brandon got turned around. Around 1:54 a.m. on May 14th, Brandon's car went into a ditch. The roads were dark, rural, easy to miss a turn. He wasn't hurt, the accident was minor, but his car was stuck. Brandon did what any responsible kid would do. He called his parents for help. His father, Brian Swanson, answered. Brandon explained he'd gone into a ditch near Lind, Minnesota, a small town about 10 miles from Marshall. He wasn't hurt, but he needed help getting his car out. Brian and Annette immediately got in their car to go get him. As Brian drove toward Lind, he stayed on the phone with Brandon. But something wasn't adding up. Brandon was describing landmarks, fields, roads, lights in the distance, but nothing matched what Brian was seeing in Lind. "Where exactly are you?" Brian asked. Brandon insisted he was near Lind. He could see lights from the town. He started walking toward them, phone to his ear, trying to guide his father to his location. For 47 minutes, father and son stayed on the phone. Brian drove around, flashing his headlights, honking his horn. Brandon walked through fields, describing what he saw. They should have found each other, but they couldn't. Brandon was somewhere, but where? Act 2. Oh shit. At 2:10 a.m., about 16 minutes into the call, Brandon thought he figured out where he was. He told his father he was going to walk toward the lights of Lind and meet him at a bar he knew. Brian waited at the bar. Brandon didn't show up. They stayed on the phone. Brandon kept walking through fields, sometimes splashing through water, sometimes climbing over fences. He was determined to find his parents. At approximately 2:30 a.m., 47 minutes into the call, Brandon suddenly said, "Oh shit," and the line went dead. Brian immediately called back. No answer. Straight to voicemail. He called again and again. Nothing. Brian and Annette drove around frantically, searching, calling Brandon's phone over and over. By sunrise, they contacted police. This is where the case becomes even stranger. When police triangulated Brandon's cell phone pings, they discovered something shocking. Brandon wasn't near Lind at all. He was 25 miles away, near the town of Taunton, in the complete opposite direction from where he believed he was. How did Brandon get so disoriented? He'd driven this area his whole life. How did he end up 25 miles from where he believed he was? And more disturbing, when they found his car the next day in a ditch near Taunton, it wasn't stuck. It could have been driven out. Brandon could have just backed up and driven home. Instead, he abandoned it and walked into rural farmland in the middle of the night. Within days, a massive search operation began. Hundreds of volunteers, search dogs, helicopters with thermal imaging, dive teams searching rivers and ponds, ground searches covering miles of farmland. They found nothing. No clothing, no phone, no keys, no sign of Brandon. The area where Brandon was walking is flat agricultural land, cornfields, soybean fields, some small rivers and creeks. Not mountainous, not heavily wooded, just flat, open farmland. In that terrain, with that many searchers, how do you not find anything? Act 3. The theories. For 16 years, investigators and Brandon's family have tried to answer two questions. What made Brandon say, "Oh shit," and where is he? Theory 1. He fell into water. The most accepted theory, Brandon, disoriented in the dark, walked toward what he thought were the lights of Lind, but he was actually approaching a river, the Yellow Medicine River or the Minnesota River, both in the area. The "oh shit" was the moment he realized he was at the edge of water, or worse, when he fell in. This explains the sudden exclamation, the abrupt call ending, the phone dying, water damage, why he was never found, river carried him away. Problems with this theory? Dive teams searched both rivers extensively. Nothing. Brandon was 6'1", athletic. Rivers in the area aren't particularly deep or fast-moving in May. Wouldn't his body have surfaced or been found downstream? Wouldn't his keys, wallet, phone? Nothing ever found. Theory 2. He fell into a well or agricultural pit. Rural Minnesota has old wells, manure pits, grain silos, all potentially deadly. If Brandon fell into one in the dark, he could be trapped at the bottom, missed by searchers. Oh shit could be the moment he fell. This explains sudden disappearance, why nothing was found, he's underground, no trace element. Problems? Searchers checked wells and known hazards. Wouldn't cadaver dogs detect him? After 16 years, nothing has been found during farming operations. Theory 3. Foul play. What if oh shit wasn't about terrain? What if it was about someone? Brandon was walking through fields at 2:30 a.m. What if he encountered someone, a landowner angry about trespassing, someone with bad intentions, someone who saw an opportunity? This explains the sudden exclamation, immediate call ending, phone taken or destroyed, complete lack of evidence, someone hid everything. Problems? No evidence of a struggle, no witnesses, no suspects, requires someone being in that remote area at 2:30 a.m.
Theory 4. Voluntary disappearance. This is the least popular theory, but some wonder, did Brandon stage this? Was he running from something? Debt? Relationship issues? Something we don't know about? Oh shit could have been staged before he destroyed his phone and walked away to start a new life. Problems. Brandon's family says he had no reason to leave. He was happy, doing well in school. He just finished finals successfully. No activity on bank accounts, social media, anything. Why call your parents for 47 minutes if you're planning to disappear? The truth is, every theory leaves questions, and Brandon's last words, "oh shit," could mean anything. Conclusion. Brandon's parents, Brian and Annette Swanson, have never stopped searching. They've organized annual searches. They've pushed for changes to Minnesota law. In 2009, they successfully lobbied for Brandon's Law, legislation requiring police to begin immediate searches for missing adults under certain circumstances, rather than waiting 24 to 48 hours. Before Brandon's Law, police could delay searching for missing adults, assuming they left voluntarily. Now, if circumstances suggest danger, searches begin immediately. Brandon's disappearance has helped save other lives. Every year, on May 14th, volunteers gather in the area where Brandon was last known to be. New technology, better ground-penetrating radar, advanced cadaver dogs, drone searches, keeps hope alive. But 16 years later, nothing has been found. What made Brandon say, "oh shit"? Where is his body? Why hasn't anything been found? Brandon Swanson was 19 years old. He just finished his freshman year of college. He was driving home from a party. He went into a ditch, called his parents for help, and vanished into rural Minnesota farmland. Somewhere in those fields, in those rivers, in the earth itself, Brandon is there, waiting to be found. If you have any information about Brandon Swanson's disappearance, please contact the Marshall Police Department. Even after 16 years, his family deserves answers. If this case moved you, subscribe to Unsolved Vault. Brandon's story matters. His family's fight matters. Comment below, what do you think happened that night? Stay safe, and if you're ever stranded, stay with your car. Brandon walked into the dark looking for help. He never came back. Thanks for watching.